The night sky's darkness crept through the bars of Rainbow's cell, meeting her own, now bloodshot eyes, from both crying and no sleep. She was sat in the corner, still buckled up, and crying. "No, I can't have done it. I can't have killed Pinkie." Her voice was croaky and dry. Her tears streamed their way down her face, forming small puddles of sadness from their tormented soul. She put her hooves over her eyes and began sobbing, even more than before. She wished that her friends didn't leave her alone in this darkness. Bug-ridden cell that made her feel claustrophobic and separated from the world. She needed her friends, now more than ever. If there was anything that could help her dark side, it was the love of her friends' hearts and friendship. But now, that wasn't going to happen. As the tears swept through Rainbow's cyan fur down to the cold, hard ground below her, she heard a voice. The voice sounded familiar, but it wasn't Applejack, nor Twilight. It was the voice that drove her to where she now is. "Kill. Kill. Kill!" The devilish voice sounded dark and demanding. Rainbow couldn't make heads or tails of it. Rainbow had had enough of this voice the first time. This voice drove her to insanity. Was it here to turn her back into the blood-craving monster that she once was? Rainbow started to thump her head. "Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!" Her voice was now stained with anger and sadness. "Why won't you leave me alone? Just leave me alone!" Rainbow's voice echoed through the jail cells, like a bouncing ball, making it grow louder with every bounce. "You know you want to kill. I can make you. I will make you kill." Rainbow could feel her sanity drifting down the dark path that was her dark side. "No, you won't. As long as I'm here, my friends are safe." "That's what you think? You never were sane. You always had this dark personality." The voice stopped, leaving Rainbow in crazed thoughts. Rainbow began to feel her sanity go down the dark path again. Her insanity was sweeping back. "No, don't! I don't want to hurt anyone anymore. I want to be free of this nonsense." "Too bad. You're mine." The voice growled through Rainbow's brain, sending a shiver down her spine. "No! Please, stop!" Rainbow was frozen. Her body was starting to heat up with that maniacal feeling. Rainbow's voice suddenly changed into that dark voice she had once had. "Time to kill. Time to bleed." Rainbow's voice was darkened by the devilish voice that consumed her soul. The voice then disappeared, letting Rainbow's sane self come back to her. She could feel her tears coming back. The tears were instantly running down her silky, cyan fur coat. "Why? Just leave me alone!" Rainbow's tormented voice was echoing more and more down the cell block with every loud scream, making it almost impossible to hear her own voice. "Leave me alone! You ruined my life, my friendship, and destroyed Pinkie Pie with me and this as the blamed pony. It was you who did this to me. Leave me alone!" Rainbow covered her ears to block out her echoing cries, but it didn't do much good. The screams kept coming and coming. The next thing Rainbow felt was the air moving gingerly through her hooves. It was odd. How could she be in the air? Her wings were... Rainbow then realized that she was being held up by the force of the devil's power through her body. "No! No! Please don't! Please! Please! Stop!" The voice ignored her, and in a matter of seconds, she was being repeatedly rammed into the wall, each thrust stronger than the last. "Give in, and the pain will stop." The devilish voice was tormenting her even more. The laughter coming from the voice made Rainbow want to cry. The pain was growing more sharp, desperately painful with each thud against the wall. Rainbow's blood now stained the once bare wall in front of her. Some of her teeth were cracked upon the impact, almost making her pass out from the pain. "Stop! Stop! Please! Stop!" Rainbow saw blood flowing from her mouth with each word she pronounced. Her teeth fell out and clattered against the stone floor with a rattle. However, the pain didn't stop there. She was still being rammed into the wall with more force. She blacked out from the pain and blood loss from her minorly mangled mouth. After she was dumped onto the floor with an even louder thud than from the wall she was being slammed into. Rainbow was now stone cold and unconscious. One day later. Rainbow was still out cold, but she could only just hear the voices of 4 mares and a colt. The voices echoed quietly through her ears as they tried to adjust to the sound. Dash's eyes slowly opened, and she soon could make out the faces of her friends. What happened?" Rainbow Dash's voice was full of pain and dryness. She was about to sit up, but was soon pushed gently back down by a set of hooves. The doctor came into view as Rainbow's eyes came into focus. "Just relax, Miss Dash. Try to relax." Applejack stepped forward towards the doctor with concern. "Tell me, Doc, is she gonna be all right?" Applejack's face was filled with concern. "Miss Dash was injured so badly, she got a severe hernia." The doctor continued. "She was beaten so badly that any more damage to her head area would have killed her." All of Rainbow's friends' faces were all plastered with sad expressions. Rainbow interrupted their silence. It was him." Their eyes were all focused on Rainbow Dash's innocent magenta eyes. Twilight was the first to speak. "Him? Who's him?" Dash could clearly tell they had no idea what she was talking about. "The voice. The devilish voice that consumed my soul." Dash continued. "Twi, promise me something. Please say that you will promise me this, no matter what it is." Twilight gave her injured Pegasus friend a reassuring look. "Anything, Rainbow. What is it?" Rainbow began to tear up. "No matter how much I beg you, or nag you, don't hesitate." "Hesitate to do what?" Rainbow paused for a moment, tears streaming down her cheeks as she did so. "Kill me." Twilight and the rest of her friends' eyes widened, including the doctor. What? I said kill me. I'm never going to make sure you girls are going to be safe with me around, unless I'm dead." "Rainbow," Fluttershy's sweet voice said as she was sitting next to her, "please, don't do this. I love you." Tears now trickled down Fluttershy's face, as much as they did every pony in the room. Rainbow noticed the blood flowing from her mouth. It ran down the side of her mouth, giving her the look of a vampire after hunting down prey. "Ow!" Rainbow exclaimed with a slight yelp. Just then, she felt her inner soul being ignited by a hurtful fire-like feeling. "Rainbow, are you okay? You look pale," Twilight asked in a concerned tone. Rainbow didn't answer. She was clutching at her heart with a strengthened grip. "Oh my god! Ah! Get away from me! Ah!" All Rainbow's friends shot backwards towards the door, but the doctor didn't want to retreat to the door with the rest of the cowarding ponies. He tried to use a shot of morphine to calm Rainbow's inflamed pains. But as he got close enough, Dash's arm flung out of the restraints of the prison hospital bed with a menacing growl and jabbed the needle into the doctor's eye socket. The doctor was screaming in pain as the blood poured out of his mangled eye, leaving patches of blood on his brown fur and white doctor coat, as it found its way to the floor, making a pool of blood as he walked around aimlessly. Rainbow's voice had turned from her original voice into the darkest voice any of her friends have ever heard. "Bleed, bleed, bleed." Rainbow was craving every second of the doctor's agony, as he eventually passed out from blood loss. Rainbow knelt to the floor and wiped her front hooves in it, and painted treble marks on her face. Her friends puked in disgust as they watched their friend perform these acts of a mental hospital patient in front of them. Rainbow seemed to have gained a lust for blood when the darkness takes over. Rainbow walked with a twitch in her eye, up to the medical tray beside her bed, and took out the scalpel and bone saw. Rainbow's face displayed a maniacal grin, her teeth soaked with the blood from the doctor's eye. "Who's next?" she grimaced in a dark tone. Her friends just screamed and barged their way out of the hospital room door, screaming in terror as their cyan friend raced after them, bone saw and scalpel in hoof. Guards lower down on the darkened hallway were patrolling around on their rounds to check on the prisoners when they heard screams of terror and fear pass through their ears. They both looked at each other in confusion and wonder. What was that? The second guard replied with a confused look and a shrug. "It's probably just the rainbow-haired pony, who was found knocked out and injured this morning." His voice was deep, with traces of fear in his voice. It was at that moment they saw 4 ponies running down the hallway, screaming. It was Rarity, Fluttershy, Applejack, and Twilight. All equally frightened, and tears flowing down their faces after seeing what their friend did in front of them. Twilight ran into one of the guards, making him topple over onto his back, with Twilight on top of him, with fear all over her face and in her eyes. "Help! You have to lock down the prison now!" The guard still had the same look of confusion from when he heard the terrified screams. "Huh? What? Why? What's going on? Ah!" The guard stopped talking, with a sharp pain and small spurts of blood finding their way out of his mouth and down his face. It was Rainbow Dash. She had tossed the bone saw with such lethal force and little effort that it had gone straight into the guard's back, making him collapse to the floor like a bag of bricks, and a loud thud. The others, including the guard, stared in horror and disgust as they watched Rainbow Dash trot up to the bone saw in the guard's back and pull it out with her teeth. Upon pulling it out of the now dead guard's back, blood dripped off the razor-sharp blade, revealing little bits of torn flesh in its teeth. Rainbow licked her lips at the sight and began licking up and down the blade, cleaning it as the teeth grinded across her tongue, making it split in places. But she didn't care. She was enjoying the blood feast too much to even care about her injuries. All of her friends' faces went halfway to pale and puked all over the floor in front of her. All except the guard, who was standing next to them, eyes fixed on both Rainbow and his dead friend on the floor, blood flowing from his mangled back. His face suddenly changed from disbelief of his friend's death and the rainbow-maned pony who had committed the crime to a face of hate and anger. With a loud roar, he caught Rainbow's attention, making Rainbow's eyes gleam at his own green eyes with her maniacal stare. "You bitch!" Without thinking, the guard plunged himself onto Rainbow Dash and began throwing punches at her face that didn't even seem to faze her one bit. Rainbow just took the hard hits and laughed uncontrollably at the pain and the guard. "You think this hurts? Let's see how you like this pain then, pretty boy." The devilish voice howled in madness as Rainbow still had the scalpel in her other hoof and began jabbing at the guard's sides, making him bleed uncontrollably. The guard cried in agony as his deep wound and began hitting harder at the crazed pony with more strength in each strike as the blood poured out of his cut. Twilight and Applejack's faces both looked the same way the guards did, but didn't know if they should fight back with him or watch and do nothing. They just about had enough of watching their friend stab the defenseless guard as he threw more punches in Rainbow's face. They saw it as a chance to run. The guard was obviously either going to pass out from blood loss or die and become a new victim of the crazed pony. They all searched for an alternative way out of the prison and to get away from their possessed friend, other than the hallway that led deeper into the prison. Without being able to react fast enough, they made their mind up quickly and ran down the corridor to the left to venture deeper into the heart of the facility.